Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today, we begin anew. Another season begins today, Season 7, Episode 1, titled Dragonstone, written by D&D, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, directed by Jeremy Podeswa. We are officially in the era, for me, where I was watching it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday night, I was there. I was in there. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up, what up? It is always a pleasure to be here. And winter
always
is here.
It is.
Yeah, we're riding. There's a lot to be said about season 7 and 8, but you're right. This was a week-to-week viewing for me as well. I don't think I was on it at season 6. I don't know. I'm trying to think. What year was season 6?
2016.
2016? Probably not. No, I think this would be the first season that I would have watched.
It'd become a phenomenon by this point. I recall that the catalyst for me really pursuing Game of Thrones. I told the story with the Battle of Hardhome several weeks back now about how it was the first thing I ever saw from Game of Thrones. I saw my dad was watching it, and I sat down and was like, "Whoa!" But another thing is that I had a knee surgery, a knee surgery on my left knee, in March of 2017.
Okay. This
premiered July 2017.
Perfect binge time there.
Look at that. Bed. I'm bedridden for a couple weeks there. I'm bedridden for a couple weeks there. I get through a couple seasons. And then I start physical therapy. And I go to physical therapy, and I'm like, have you ever done physical therapy?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know how if you're new, you get a new physical therapist, and it's all very robotic, and you're like, you're doing a job. I'm your patient, and that's just that. Like it's a little awkward, but you just got to do it.
Yeah.
But a couple sessions in, I'm like, you ever watch Game of Thrones? He goes, oh, do I watch Game of Thrones? Yeah, I was like, okay, yep, I found my guy. So I told him at that point, I was like 3 or 4 seasons in, and now every session for like weeks, all we talked about for a fucking hour was Game of Thrones. And actually, I hadn't even put this together. He put me on to a podcast called Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Game of Thrones podcast. The first podcast I ever listened to, and therein, huge influence on me starting a podcast at all. So shout out to Jeff, my boy Jeff. Good dude, Jeff.
Jeff and Game of Thrones and Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Thank you. Yeah, and now we're here. We're doing it ourselves.
We are,
and we are 71 episodes in.
61. 61st.
Oh, hello. Yeah, let me do season. Yeah.
No, it's tough. I do the same thing. I do the same thing.
7, episode 1.
It would be much sexier if that was episode 71.
But not. That is not how math works.
Shamefully,
I guess.
I wish it were.
Yes, we are here, and I can feel it. I guess a little bit already.
There's a little bit of a. This episode was fine. It was and it's the first episode in quite some time that I would
say that
describe as fine.
Yeah, and we are coming off of 2 of some of the best episodes that they've ever released.
That's very true.
So I mean, we are at the absolute peak, and then now now we're coming down to season 7, and it's not terrible, you know. It's still, we're checking in with cool characters. We have some cool stuff that happens, that's for sure. I felt like there was like they know that the show is big now. They know it is like a phenomenon, and they're like trying for fan service. They are trying for other things that they didn't really try to do before.
There are advantages and disadvantages to becoming appointment viewing for a country.
Yeah.
And more than a country, several countries.
Yeah, I mean, you always saw the videos of like buildings that like when Game of Thrones, I guess it was House of the Dragon that like I mostly saw those, but like just every window was like changing at the same time. Yeah, I guess true. Yeah, like every window would be changing at the same time, and you could just they were all watching Thrones or whatever. And
I'll never forget. There's a video, and this is obviously ahead away, but it's the season 8 episode 3, the big one. There's a video of people in a bar watching that on Sunday night. That is
wow.
And it's everybody in the bar is watching this. They're talking, they're reacting, they're doing everything. And I'm like, this is why the show isn't as good because this is what they're trying to appeal to. You know, they're trying to, and don't get me wrong, like season 8 episode 3 is a rare exception for the last couple seasons. I know people are like, oh, it's dark. That's like the only thing you can say about that, in my opinion, in terms of the quality of that episode alone. And even that, if you have a good TV, is not really a problem. But regardless, we will get there one day. But it became appointment viewing, and it became this thing that people watched that way. There were odds in Vegas. Who's going to become the king in Game of Thrones? You could put down money. Put down money. Like there's got
to be some insider shit going on there. Well,
absolutely. You know? Going into season 8, who had the best odds of becoming the king of Game of Thrones, and nobody would have ever guessed that? Bran fucking Stark.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's like they clearly fucking know who's going to be the king of Game of Thrones at the end. You know, like
wow. I had no idea that was actually a thing. But
so like that's the thing, is it became such a cultural phenomenon, and this happens with every cultural phenomenon. The bigger it gets, the more there's expectations placed upon it, the more the writers, you know, they feed that sort of thing, but then they also go, okay, well now what's been the thing that's driven those numbers up? Twists. Something's got to be different. We're gonna lead you one way, and we're gonna fucking spike it another. You know, like and there's these last couple seasons are chock full of twists. Some good, some bad, or some pointless. You know, like there are some that are fine, but it's just it begins here where you're trying to appease or appeal to a broader audience.
There is something like one. I guess I'm trying to think of a specific example, but like even just the number of episodes, like the 7 episodes here, 6 episodes next season. It's almost like they didn't have the source material. They were like, all right, but let's just write big stuff. Like we just have to have big things happen, and they didn't have those episodes where not much happens at all. But in those episodes, you get crucial character development and to build the suspense of these events even more.
I'm a huge member of the team that if season 7 and 8 would have been 10 episodes each, even if they had a combined 7 more episodes, there's so much you could have done to justify a lot of what happened a little fast.
Oh yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I'm still an avid enjoyer of the last couple seasons, at least ahead of this rewatch, you know, pending. I do recall just loving the show a great deal, and even when it was on, our first episode of the show was a deep dive into Game of Thrones of Penny Bloom podcast. It was the week after season 8 ended. The show had just concluded. Let's fucking talk about it. And if you go back and listen to that, I'm incredibly forgiving. I'm incredibly like, I don't know what everyone's talking about. And like now I know exactly what everyone's talking about, but I enjoy it anyway. At least I did. We'll see.
Yeah, starting off,
in an okay place, you know.
Yeah. It's not bad. It is a premiere. They do have to set up a bunch of stuff and check in with all these people, blah blah blah, and kind of
That's
recap some
pretty
things that happened.
good premieres, though.
Yeah, and it felt very exposition heavy, very let's just lay it out how it is, like a Jaime and Cersei standing on the map and like just literally being like, we have enemies to the west, to the north, to the south, to the blah. What do we do with this? What do we do? It's very just like, we know all of this. Like it's like very I don't know. Like they know what they're going to do too, and it's just I don't know. Like there's just a lot of very exposition-y dumps here, I felt like.
And a lot of other kind of dumps too, and we'll get to that. But we'll begin. We'll begin in the Riverlands for this. I don't want to pile on the negativity because there are some high highs in this one. The good stuff is good, and there's just some other stuff that is all right. But we'll begin in the Riverlands at the Twins, where Walder Frey is presiding over the second feast that he has organized in a fortnight. And coming into this, do you recall what you were feeling the first time you watched this? Like kind of,
I was like, wait, didn't he fucking die? I did not click that this is Arya like right away. There was nothing in my head that I'm like, oh yeah, this is Arya as Walder. I'm like, wait a minute, he fucking died right at the end. I'm like, how the fuck? I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Is this a flashback? What are we doing?
And the way he was talking, he's very Walder Frey. Arya's putting on the character very, very well.
Very, very good.
And
it's funny because it's
literally
hilarious to think that it is actually that actor just performing the same character, and it's fucking hilarious to think about it that way. But regardless, I love this was a top contender for the favorite scene of the episode. The way they cold open, no theme song before it, we jump right in. Lord Frey has summoned every Frey who took part in the Red Wedding under the pretext of revealing his plans, and Walder orders the servants to serve them wine from the arbor, but harshly tells his latest wife, Kitty, that he is not wasting any wine on a damn woman. And Walder, thanks his family. He's like, thank you. You're all great men, aren't you? Help me slaughter the Starks at the Red Wedding. Whoa. Look at you. You killed Robb. You killed a pregnant mother. You killed a mother of 5. Look at you. You're all wonderful. And they're all like,
oh. Something's really getting to my throat now for some reason.
So they keep getting there, and Frey, they all begin to choke, and Walder chides them, But you made a mistake. You didn't kill all the Starks. And my line is where this scene comes from. Leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe. And his entire family dies around him, and then, quote-unquote, Walder reveals himself as a disguised Arya Stark, who has exacted vengeance on those arranged the massacre of her mother and brother at the Red Wedding. And Arya spares Walder's wife and servants, and she tells them, whenever they ask what happened here, tell them the North remembers. Tell them winter came for House Frey. I was like, yup, that's hard. I was like we are kicking off on a fucking high note, like that's that's about as high a note as you can hit.
She's all in. She is, I was trying to think of other characters. This is for favorites. It was, I don't know. There's some clear ones, but to try to spread the love is kind of difficult.
Impossible in this episode for me. I think that there are 2 options for me in character. There is one option in performance. There is one option in scene. And there are a few lines, lines come and go. Like they're but like Arya is one of my 2 options for character. I thought that what she does and what she learns, especially in this next scene with her, we go from one of the highest highs of the episode to personally one of the lowest lows of this entire fucking show, when Arya has acquired a horse and is riding south when she stumbles upon a group of Lannister soldiers who have befriended Ed Sheeran, and they're keeping law and order in the Twins, and they're singing a song.
Performance of the episode Ed Sheeran as Eddie. No, I just wanted to remember about this because it's like you brought up a fantastic point. Is like, why did they give him a character? Why did they give him?
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of dudes, and there are a ton of cameos in these last 2 seasons. None of them are so blatant as this one. It doesn't make any sense. There's a picture for the New York Mets, Noah Syndergaard, who is in the Lannister army at some point. He's just marching. Aaron Rodgers is in season 8 at some point. You will probably not even be able to find him. He's just there somewhere, that's how a cameo for a celebrity who wants to be in Game of Thrones should be done.
Mm-hmm.
What really peeved me about this scene is that you already took a all right scene. The scene, I like the idea it's getting at.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of those extremely on the nose exposition-y. Let's explain why not everybody's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Arya never thought of that. Okay. I don't know. So you take an already just okay scene and you're like, well, shit, let's throw Ed Sheeran in there. He can sing and have a couple lines. It's one of those things that makes me just go, okay, maybe it's not enough to be like, oh, this show's ruined, obviously. Like some people would be reactionary like that. But I think it is indicative of a trend to come,
imagine instead of, the end of it and they all laugh at her, imagine she slits all of their throats. She kills every single one of them. We see how fucking trained she is, I thought that's what, I don't know. I thought that's, she's looking at their swords. They're all over there. They don't have them on. It's like this would be kind of a cakewalk for her. I feel like I don't know. Maybe this. I mean, there's a lot of guys there, so I don't know. Maybe.
No, I think it would be a cakewalk. But I think the point that the scene is trying to make is that not everybody's worth killing.
Yeah.
Everybody...
I guess she was thinking about it. She was actively thinking about killing them.
Yeah.
That is fair. She was looking at their weapons and all this stuff. So
and then they talk, and then she's like, "You know what? You're fine."
Yeah. You got a great voice. I'll let you live, Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, I'll let you ride. But
does he come back, or is this it?
No, he's never in the show again. They which I'll take that as a plus. The soldiers are singing a song and offer to share some rabbit meat for dinner, and they're like, why are you riding south here? And she's like, well, I'm going to King's Landing. And Arya tells them that, she learns from them that soldiers wanted to see the Great Sept of Baelor and they wanted to see all this, but now it's gone. Stuff's destroyed and the Red Keep has essentially been sealed. And she's like, a lot has changed down there since I've been in Essos, huh? And the young soldiers insist that she has joined them around the campfire to eat and rest. And when she asks them about their adventures, the soldiers are like, well, we don't do much. When we left home, we were like, fuck yeah, we're going to ride for our kingdom. This is going to be awesome. And, now all we want is to go home. And they're basically saying it exactly the way that I'm saying it, which makes it really bad.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, let's explain the life of a soldier in full here. A soldier serving some other lord fighting another man's war. They've done this, I don't know how many times before.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to do it through exposition either.
That's the thing, is that like the scene is like, I want to make clear, I don't not like this scene because of Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's just the cherry on top that makes this already not great scene even worse.
Yeah. I mean, your idea of just having him as like just a town kind of singer,
traveling troubadour.
Just every now and then you just hear him sing, and I mean, perfect. I mean, that would be perfect.
In the background somewhere, like that's all. Like I don't know, just something simple. But like one of them says something and he says something like, I know that's right. And I'm like, oh my God.
It was just boring. Yeah, it was not very good. Not very good at all.
Yeah,
but
no, and the young soldiers.
I don't know, when you have money and you want to be in a show.
They'll get you. They'll get in there.
Yeah, that's about all you need.
But they're like, you old enough to drink? And she's like, yeah, hit me up. And she takes a pull of this blackberry wine, and one of the sweeter guys and one of the better actors in the scene is the kid who made the wine and stuff, and he's like, yeah, made it myself, and she's like, it's good, and they're like, so why are you traveling to King's Landing? And she's like, well, I'm gonna kill the queen. And they all look at each other and they all burst out laughing, and Arya smiles and laughs along with them. So
kind of the only good moment of that scene,
yeah,
I feel
no,
like. Yeah, I liked that moment.
The
that
general
moment
structure,
cool.
like the general idea of the scene, it's fine. Like, I like the idea that Arya is hell-bent, because to this point, she hasn't even really killed without abandon at this point. Like, it's just, she has, in her mind, killed people who deserve to fucking die. She's not just murdering motherfuckers.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, it has been everyone who has definitely wronged her or is just a massive piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Except for the first kid, the one that was like, I'm going to go tell, and then she just slides the sword.
Fair enough. Whoopsies.
But that's the first one. She was a child. It's whatever. But like, I think that the general idea of the scene of explaining that not every Lannister soldier is an evil fuck, we have seen for the most part. And this scene really serves a purpose for something that happens later on this season, which is Daenerys fucking torching the Lannister army in that one battle in like season 7, episode 4. Like, I think that's really the point of this scene, is to show that not every single person who she's killing is a terrible person, but that's war,
Oh yeah, and that's kind of like Daenerys' whole thing. That is what Tyrion and Jorah and all of them advise her all about every time. It is her wanting to be like, oh, I will kill them all, and they're like, well, Jorah's like, I wouldn't be here if Ned Stark did what he was supposed to do, sort of thing. So it's like, the idea is always there. It has been here for the entire show. So yeah, I mean, it is a very repeat idea. But a nice reminder, I guess, before, Daenerys does flame them all up.
I mean, like, we don't have a lot of just nice moments with Arya. We haven't in a while. So her getting a little bit of a rest. Yeah. We got a cathartic moment where she slaughters the Freys, but I wouldn't categorize that as like nice,
Yeah, it was, she had to, I guess after it was all said and done, she probably felt really, really good. But yeah, not a heartwarming moment, not at all.
Not particularly. Just kind of badass and cold and vengeful. I love it. But now we're going to move elsewhere in the Riverlands. Turns out all of my favorites are here, and we have like 4 locations left. So my character, performance, and scene all come from Sandor Clegane here, where he's riding north with the Brotherhood without banners through thick snow, and they decide to take shelter for the night at an abandoned home. But immediately, the Hound recognizes the house and declares it unsafe. He's like, I don't want to go in there, I stole from this guy when I was a different man.
House. This house brings back bad memories. But
memories of when he was a worse man, and like that's what's like. The Hound is my character, and Rory McCann is my performance.
I don't think. I mean, I was trying to spread the love. I'm looking through everything else.
It's possible in this episode.
I was maybe thinking John for John would get the character, not performance. He would get the character, but the Hound has way better story here.
Like, it's just so much. This is far and away the best part of the episode, and it almost feels like it was a whole separate fucking thing. How much better it was done. Beric dismisses the Hound's unease and orders that they set up camp here for the night. And the men enter the house, where they discover the corpses of the farmer and his daughter. And I love the way that everybody goes in and they fan out and they go looking, but the Hound walks in and he walks straight to the corner and just kind of stares at them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And the elegance of cutting from that sweet scene with Arya to this is the scene immediately after that.
Ooh. Okay. A little Arya and Hound.
Very, very good editing and pacing choice. I did like that a lot. and
works on multiple levels. Yeah, from
100%.
sweet to not so sweet. From they used to be together, travel together, showing that they've kind of switched places a little bit.
A little
very
bit.
much so.
The Hound will still do the deed if he must, but Brother Ray had quite the effect on him, and he and Arya Stark had encountered these two a couple years ago, following the Red Wedding, and it appears that the father killed his daughter and himself so that they would not starve to death, which is pretty fucking brutal. That's
yeah, winter. I mean, that's no joke there. Like, crops don't grow. Like, if you don't got food for a long time, you're just fucked. And if you're poor, you're fucked. If you don't live in a castle, you're fucked. Just a very different world. Very, very sad to see.
And again, I want to emphasize Rory McCann's performance here. Like, every single thing he does, he actually, there's a moment a little bit in this next scene when Sandor recalls seeing Beric at the tournament at King's Landing, and he's like, "You ain't shit, so why the fuck are you alive?"
Why the fuck are you so special, dude?
He's like, I've known better men who've been hung from beams. Like he again cites Brother Ray specifically. Like, I've known better men who've been hanged from beams, and I've known them beheaded. And so what the fuck are you still here for? And Beric's like, now why the fuck would I know, brother? You think I don't question that every single day of my life? I don't have any more clue than you do. But I know that by being here, he is telling me something. I have to figure out what that is myself.
It's crazy how, like, the Lord of Light is like an actual character in the show for me now. Like, I am actively thinking of the Lord of Light now, and I've never, like, once thought of, like, the divine.
Ever since Jon is resurrected, it's basically the beating heart of the mystical in this show. Like, I mean, like, dragons, obviously, like, that's a whole other thing, but in terms of the fantasy elements of the show beyond dragon, it is now the way that this deity influences everyday life. And
it in my head, I'm just kind of writing it as, like, it's the writers. It's like it's a very amazing, like, writing technique, just to be like, I don't know why I see visions. I don't understand them. I have to interpret them. So it's like they can do whatever they want. It's
but it's a very real idea when it comes to faith.
Exactly.
Like, that's it is a built. It is a little bit of a built-in hack to not have to explain stuff, but it's a very real struggle that people who do believe in things go through. I don't know why things are done the way they are, but he must have a purpose. Like, that's kind of the idea here. And Sandor remarks that he doesn't believe in divine justice, citing that
you'd be dead
if divine justice were real, you'd be dead, and that little girl would be alive.
And that kind of shut Beric out. He was like, oh, man.
He's like, it's clear that you've got other shit going on, Sandor, so I'm gonna let you be. You've clearly evolved quite a bit since last you killed me, so I'm and you've been dealing with a lot of shit, so I'm gonna let you go. But Thoros is like, come on over here, take a look into the flames here. And
they won't fight. He kind of looks at him like, you don't test
don't
me.
fuck with me like that.
I
would end up with a bunch of fire worshippers, like I loved that.
I mean, fuck, I'm already forgetting. Beric is like, well, is that what he says? That seems like divine justice to me. That's what he says divine justice for. That, like, the Hound is like, of course, I'm cooped up here with all these fire worshippers.
Yes.
And Beric's like, seems like divine justice to me. I mean, he does kind of have a point. I mean, a little bit, maybe.
And then it recontextualizes the Hound's entire fucking life for you in that moment, like,
until this very moment where it sets him on the path to where he needs to go. It's like,
dude,
it's fucking nuts to think of. I don't know. The Lord of Light, it fucks. Like, the Lord of Light is actually like a very cool aspect of the show that I never thought of before.
I've definitely never given it quite as much thought as I am now. I remember, the prophecies and stuff and speculating on them, but the way that it influenced, like, the way that the gods influence everything and kind of taking in, considering like Jaqen dealing with the many-faced god, but kind of making it in your head, making the connection that like it's just the same fucking guy talking to somebody else in their way, like
it's just their own. It's very individual. It's not. It's not one message that is spread across everybody. It is, you have a specific purpose. You need to do this, or you should do this, sort of thing. And yeah, I mean this. If I had to pick a scene from the, if we're not just saying the whole time we're with the Hound, I specifically love like when he's looking into the flames, when they're in the hut, in the house. That'd be the part that I'd pick, because his revelation of this.
This is the part I was going to speak to about Rory McCann's performance, because he's elevating kind of so material. Like it's a good moment, don't get me wrong, but I do think it is a good moment because of the way Rory McCann plays it, because it is very, like, there's not a lot of ways to write this and it be, like, not corny, like exactly. He's like looking in the flames and he's like, I see a wall of ice, the wall, that whole thing. So I think that, like, it's all in all a fine scene, and I think Rory McCann elevates it to an actively great scene, and that's why I think that just the journey this character has gone on and the performance he puts on really makes him the highlight of this episode. And he cites that
for sure.
Oh yeah. He cites that he sees a castle where the wall meets the sea, and a mountain that looks like an arrowhead, and thousands of dead marching past. And Barrick's like, so now do you believe that we're here for a reason? And it's kind of hard to deny that, You look into some fire and you see some shit, and
he doesn't know that he's seen his own future. But I looked ahead in this season, and it literally is called back to, I think during the Suicide Club episode, I believe is it?
Yeah,
he
points to the arrowhead.
He's like,
season 7, episode 6.
I think so. That sounds right.
Beyond the wall.
Beyond the wall. That is right. And he's like, that's the fucking mountain I saw in the flames. Like, really? He's like, yeah, I'm sure. He's like, 100%.
He's like, well, thank God. That can only mean good things, right?
Means we're about to encounter a
thousands
very,
of
very
dead.
large army. But no, this was, oh my God. Yeah, the Hound.
Yeah, my favorite scene was the very next one, when Thoros finds the Hound outside burying the farmer and his daughter in the snow, and Thoros deduces that he must have known them, and the Hound admits, I don't. Like I don't. I didn't care to know them, and now he kind of wishes that he had. And like, because the man offered him a job, he was like, "Stay on with us, we're happy to have you." And he stole from him, left him for nothing, and that was it. And and then him standing up as they bury the bodies together, and he attempts to deliver the epitaph of the 7. May the father and the mother. Oh, fuck it, I can remember the rest. And
I can't remember this shit. Yeah, and then he
sorry you're dead.
Yeah,
you deserve better.
I was like, oh man, I'm like, look at you, Sandor Clegane. Like, look, man.
I forgot. Like, I didn't forget how much I loved this character. I feel like early on we were taught, like, early on in the running of the show, I was like, this is probably the most underrated character in the entire show as far as the journey he goes on. But look at the numbers in the sheet for us here. This man is firmly top 5.
Yeah. Did you already up yours?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So yeah, he'll He will be. He's right below Daenerys for the character.
And
Which
Tyrion.
is nuts. Yeah, above Davos, above Ned Stark, above Arya, Varys, Cersei, and acting wise, I guess. Let's see where I feel like he's
If he gets both here, he's tying Richard Madden and Alfie Allen.
then yeah. So he's gotten one before, so now he'd be
Mm-hmm.
at 3. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, not yeah. I mean, he's for him like that's kind of nuts that he has 3 in a cast of
This
massively like Lena Headey,
Yeah.
Emilia Clarke, like, all and Kit, like all of them, and he's up there with some of them. Yeah,
But yeah, that was definitely my scene. It was incredibly moving, and in an episode where not everything was hitting for me. This scene hit me like a ton of bricks. And I loved it. So the Hound, Rory McCann, and this scene. And then I already delivered my line. So the Riverlands just dominated this episode. But now we only have Winterfell, The Wall, King's Landing, Old Town, and Dragonstone left. So five more locations. I've got all my favorites fucking done.
Hey, that's okay. Yeah, my line is the only thing that comes out of the Riverlands, and it's in the north. We are here for the line. So for me, it's one of 2 characters, and they're both in the north. So
yeah, there you go. But we're at Winterfell now, where the King in the North, Jon Snow, organizes the defense of the North against the Night King and his army of the dead. And he asks that all the maester start searching for dragonglass, stressing it is now more valuable than gold due to its effectiveness against the White Walkers. And Jon also requests that Tormund and his people man Eastwatch by the Sea, as Tormund and the other wildlings were present at Hardhome and have seen the Night King. And Tormund agrees to defend the castle. And I love that irony, the special little irony of the wildlings now manning the wall.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if Tormund was pissed or like honored. I felt like it was kind of both. Like he was like,
both. I think he is very well aware of that irony, but he will do anything for Jon at this point. He's
like, guess we're the Night's Watch now. But he kind of like is saying it to everyone else as kind of like, haha, fuck you. You know,
look at you Northerners who hated us so much. Now oh, sure, sorry. Now check me out.
Yeah, we are literally your first line of defense. For the war to come. So,
But Jon orders all able-bodied men and boys aged 10 to 60 in his kingdom to be trained in combat in order to defend against the encroaching threat. And because only half of the population in the North fighting the White Walkers is not enough, he also orders that every woman and girl should also be trained and equipped as well. And Robert Glover balks at that idea. He's like, you want me to arm my granddaughter and send her into a battle?
I think my line, this one's way stronger than my other one. I love
Lady Lyanna.
Oh my god, she's just incredible here. Like, I just standing up immediately. Just, I don't plan on knitting by the fire while men fight for me. I might be small, Lord Glover, and I might be a girl, but I'm every bit as much of a Northerner as you. And he tries to get in like, I'm sorry, I was not questioning. She cuts him off. I don't need your permission to defend the North. And she's like, in Bear Island, every woman or man, woman, boy, and girl will be trained. And I was like, fuck yeah. I'm like hell. Like, hell yeah. Like, it's just.
No, she's always the one to put everybody in their place. Like, because what are you going to do? If the 10-year-old girl stands up and suns your ass, you go, well, that's it. I have to do what she is saying, or else now I am an absolute loser.
Yeah, and it just makes logical sense. It's
always right. She's very rarely on the wrong side. And boy, does she fight some wildlings later on. But the next order of business is the possibility of the walkers getting past the wall. If they do, Jon notes that the first obstacles they encounter will be the Castle of Last Hearth and Carhold, and those seats belonging to the two most northern houses that fought alongside the Boltons. And Lord Jon Royce opines that the castles should be demolished for their lord's treachery. But Sansa interjects that the Last Hearth and Carhold committed no crimes and urges her half-brother to instead strip the Umbers and the Karstarks of these holdings. And as punishment for turning against the Starks. And Jon, level-headed as he is, humble and as all diplomatic as can be, advocates forgiveness and insists that the children should not be punished for the crimes of their father. And Sansa continues insisting that Jon's decision is the wrong one. Yeah. And Jon insists his decision is final. And she reluctantly obliges. And this whole this was the other part where I was like,
this was my other scene as well. I mean, if the Hound, if the Hound wasn't there, this one was pretty strong. And like Littlefinger also in the background being like, this is like it. I guess it's
all a part of the plan.
Yeah. But they both have good points. Like Sansa being like, so there's no reward for loyalty, and then no punishment for treason. But Jon also at the same time being like, look, when he brings out the kids, it's like,
these are the fucking children you're talking about.
It's like, okay, it's made pretty clear. But I think the point he should have made first was the point he made at the end of like, if we're going to fight this, like we all have to be together. There's no interfighting or no we can't do that. Like if we do that, we lose already. We're probably already going to lose.
That's the thing about Jon right now as well, is that he understands they don't have time to reassign castles to new houses. He's like, if we don't win, it doesn't fucking matter. We can hand this castle to whoever we want. They'll have it for like 2 years or a year.
And I think it is like the only people in that room that have seen like the army is Jon and Tormund, because Davos didn't see it, right? He's like, it's just Jon and Tormund.
Some of the other wildlings probably did.
True. But I guess of just the people who live in the north, so like they know it's a threat. They believe Jon, but like I don't think they understand. They can't
understand.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah, Jon, he summons Ned Umber and Alice Karstark up, both of whom are children who obviously had no part in their father's betrayal, and clearly terrified of what could happen to them. He asks them to reaffirm their loyalty to House Stark. They oblige and kneel before King Jon, and Jon says that the mistakes of the past don't matter anymore. And everybody everybody has a nice cheer and a smile, and Jon's proud of the kids for standing up in this moment, and it's a sweet little moment, kind of marred by this tension, which is addressed in the very next scene. In private, Jon chides Sansa for questioning his decision making in front of everybody. He tells Sansa that while she is his sister and she can question his decisions, doing so when it is publicly addressing the Northern Lords undermines him like crazy. And Sansa responds that Joffrey did not tolerate dissent. And Jon's like, yeah?
Really?
You want to take it there? Is that what you want to do?
Joffrey? And I love this Sansa responds with no, you're the
farthest thing away.
Yeah. And he that's the nicest thing you can say to anyone.
Smile. That's the
thank you.
I love when Kit Harington smiles, because we just don't see that, and I feel like we've been seeing it a lot these last 2 episodes specifically. Yeah. We get this shining little ray of hope from him for, as much as he doesn't want to be king, he also is the only person who understands what a big threat this is. So he knows that he is the only one who can make happen the things that need to happen. So
you were talking about how he hates leading, how he hates it. And I was thinking about that while watching this, and Sansa literally is like, you know what? You're good at this. You're really good at he's like, at what? And he's like, leading. He goes, no. He his reaction is no. Don't tell me that. He's like, God,
please stop. I hate this shit, bro.
I am not trying to do this. But yeah, I don't know. This conversation was pretty cool, and Sansa being you're a great leader. You have all these qualities, and then he's like, oh, great. Wow, everything that comes.
I love this. I love this part when she's like, you got to be smarter than father and then Robb.
Mm-hmm.
They were great. They were wonderful protectors, but they made stupid decisions and it got them killed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, both
And
beheaded. At that, yeah, they both got their heads chopped off. That is Robin a little more gruesome of a fashion. I guess he was probably
yeah,
already dead. Um,
yeah, for
but
sure. But
eesh.
I
Or
love that we get the classic. Dad always said that whatever comes before the word "but" is horse shit.
I never heard that. Son's like, he never said that to me. He's like,
And he's like, yeah, he didn't swear in front of you guys. And it reminded me of that point, like in season 1, whenever she's telling Tyrion about sheep shift
mm.
and
Oh man.
and they all kind of giggle at her, like, oh, sweetie. And
Oh,
just thinking about how far she's come in that time and where she's
yeah.
at, like,
Oh
I
yeah.
fucking love Sansa, dude. I love Sansa. I love Sophie Turner, and it's definitely a character who it falls victim to be in the public eye to misogyny. Um,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people I know who go Sansa's annoying. Sansa, like, come on now, come on
Mm.
now. You're
Yeah,
telling on yourself
I
at
don't
this
see
point. She's
annoying.
also 14 when she's annoying.
Yeah. I was a stupid little girl. I just remember stupid.
A
It's
stupid
like,
little girl
yeah.
with stupid dreams and stupid stuff.
No, she's not annoying.
But
I mean, she's badass now. She's
no,
like
she's awesome. I
hardened,
fucking love her in these
Yeah,
last
like,
few seasons, man.
mhm,
Back
yeah.
half of the show, Sansa's been, I mean, like, and she's always been a good character. Like, she might have one of the most completely satisfying stories of the entire show,
Someone who's
as
been
far as
completely
beginning
sheltered her
to
whole
end.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheltered, doesn't know anything about the world, and then just
Tortured for
experiences
like 4 fucking
all of
seasons.
the shit. I mean,
Yeah.
Joffrey, Cersei, her time in King's Landing was just ass, and then she gets Ramsay, and then well,
Yep.
I guess Littlefinger as well sells her off to Ramsay, and then all of that happens.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
Now it's finally like a fresh of breath air for her. Finally at home,
Yes.
and
Yes.
are we at the scene with her and Littlefinger yet? Or am I jumping?
No, we're about to be there, but Maester Wolkan delivers a message from the newly crowned Queen Cersei Lannister here. Though she is apparently not opposed to House Stark reclaiming the North from House Bolton, she demands that they submit to her authority. And while Jon is preoccupied with preparing to fight the Night King, Sansa warns him to not underestimate Cersei Lannister. And later on, oh, okay, yeah. Later on, Brienne of Tarth and Podrick Payne spar with swords, and Podrick is struggling. Brienne's rocking his shit, and Tormund.
Nope. She's like, yeah, just like I love the like every time she stabs him or like hits him, she's like,
You're a lucky
nope,
man.
not again. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Tormund coming over. Oh man, he doesn't even talk to her. I thought like he was gonna say a word to her or something,
No.
but that's it. That is all
He's
he said.
casually hitting on her by being like,
Yeah.
God, I wish you'd do that to me.
He's like he's too nervous to talk to her.
No, that's what's hilarious is that I also think it's funny that obviously Brienne, her tastes are not Tormund. She's been attracted to Renly and Jaime, and so she likes a little bit more of a Primpton Preen sort of gentleman, as opposed to the beastly man of Tormund Giantsbane. But we've had these conversations, or she's had these conversations in the past where she talks about how she's never felt wanted and nobody thinks she's pretty or anything like that. I would love if there was just one moment where like Brienne turned away from Tormund and was kind of like, like she was like satisfied with herself because this dude wants her bad, like
dude,
terribly so.
He's apparently fucked a bear.
Yeah.
And he can't even talk to Brienne.
We don't believe you fucked a bear. Yeah. You never fucked a bear, as Ygritte put it. God, miss Ygritte. But anywho, all the while Peter and Sansa are watching, and Peter comments on Brienne saying, she's incredible, isn't she? I heard she beat the Hound in single combat. And Sansa dismisses Peter's attempt to get under her skin by stating that, she's safe at Winterfell and has Brienne as her sworn shield. And she retorts that she only wants peace and quiet. Yeah. And when he prods her, she looks unhappy.
God, this was my other line. if it doesn't go to little Lady Mormont, this will, at the moment, some peace and quiet. No need to seize the last word, Lord Baelish. I'll assume it was something clever. And you could see, like, Littlefinger be like he was trying, he was like,
yeah,
oh, damn it. He's like,
yeah,
oh,
it was gonna be something clever. He got me there. But
that is what I do. That is my thing.
That is my whole bag, and you've got me down pat at this point. Shame Wheel, like, again, astonished by how just minimal Peter's presence is for the last season and some change. Obviously an important player, but we only have 6 episodes left with this guy. He dies at the end of season 7.
That's right. Yeah, this weird Arya and Sansa feud. And then they use it as a
one
twist.
Of those. That was one of the storylines I was talking about earlier, where it's like you're trying to lead us one way and then subvert expectations.
Yeah, come on, man. I don't know.
Subverting expectations is cool if it's not for the sake of subverting expectations. If that's your only goal is to be like, they'll never see this coming, then it's fucking stupid.
Kind of out of character for them as well. Like, they did hate each other, and they were sisters when everything was fine.
They're reuniting for the first time in fucking years.
They've been through shit. They've been through hell. There's no, they would come back and be like, all right, you know what, we're grown, let's pass.
And that's what's crazy, is it is out of character, and it's not actually what's happening. Everything off screen is them being like, we got his ass, we're gonna get him,
because they had to plan that out.
They're pulling a fast one on Peter this entire fucking season, and the whole time they make it seem like something else, and it's like, I don't know,
I guess maybe it's a way to hide it and camouflage it. Maybe that's the rationale, but it's definitely just so that we can have a twist at the end and kill him. But yeah,
and I will say the twist where we do kill him is extremely satisfying, but
it is nice.
The storyline getting up to that point is extremely bothering.
Yeah, I mean, imagine how better it would be if they're like, let's put all this old shit behind us. We're sisters. We're the last remaining stars.
No, absolutely.
Let's go.
And frankly, if Peter's never in the know, that last little bit of would still be satisfying, so regardless, we will get there. Season 7, we got a way to go. But at least we'll have a lot of talking points. Brienne, having seen what is going on with Sansa and Peter, moves over to intervene, and Baelish scurries off. And when Brienne asks why Littlefinger is still at Winterfell, Sansa replies that the Knights of the Vale helped to turn the tide in the Battle of the Bastards. However, Sansa is confident that she knows exactly what Peter wants.
Oh yeah, just can keep him in the back pocket. Might as well. He's got some resources, and very easy manipulated by Sansa, if she wants. Sansa can ask.
The only person who can successfully manipulate Littlefinger.
Left. Oh, yeah. And I'm okay with it. I'm fully okay with it. Not a bone in my body that's not okay with that. And but yeah, love.
Oh, it's a fucking sign, baby. You know what song just shuffled on my movie and TV soundtracks playlist? Shall we begin?
Oh, damn. Wow.
Isn't that fucking crazy? There's 2,000 songs on this thing.
That's actually incredible.
No, wow. But regardless, we're at the wall next, where beyond it, a column of White Walkers riding undead horses leads a horde of whites through a snowstorm, and their numbers include at least 3 undead giants. And
a lot more else too.
Yeah, tons of other things. That's what's funny is that I get that it's like, whoa, they have giants now. But also there's thousands of them. So how much do 3 giants really change shit?
It's maybe going through the gate at the wall.
Yeah, maybe that is kind of what they're going for.
So that doesn't even really matter. They make their own gate. I guess
they just kind of climb over the wall. They just create that sea of their bodies and just fucking
World War Z
waves
type, shot of all the zombies just piling on top of each other. But
that is one of the more fun things about the last couple seasons, is that because there's 13 episodes, because it's all so close, everything relates directly to something we can talk about later on. As you can tell, so far in this episode, we've been well, here's how this affects the entire fucking season. So it creates a good conversation. It's just a
Mhm.
question of whether or not it's of the highest order of quality. But meanwhile, Bran and Mira reach the gate beneath Castle Black, and they are greeted by the acting Lord Commander Dolores Ed and several armed Black brothers. And Ed asks if they are wildlings, but Mira introduces herself and Bran. And when Ed asks them to verify their identities, Bran responds by recognizing Ed from the conflicts at the Fist of the First Men and Hardhome, observing that he has seen the army of the dead. And Ed's like, okay, yep, come on in.
I guess that means you're not wildlings. All right.
You know a lot about me.
Yeah. I guess no threat, though. You know, it didn't seem that they
Does Bran say something about being Jon Snow's brother?
Nope. Not in this
would have been invited right in.
Yeah. You're Lord Commander. Yeah, I am his. I'm his brother. By the way, I don't know. It feels like important information. I guess Bran's just got to be like, I'm the Three-Eyed Raven now. I know everything about you.
I'm all of a sudden quite the robot.
Yeah.
This was it. You know, we're officially there. The end of season 6, there was still something left. Isaac Hempstead Wright gets to cash a fucking check for nothing the rest of the show.
Yep. Like Dr. Manhattan.
Mr. Manhattan.
Sort of vibe. I don't know why I went Mr. there.
No, yeah, and I don't mean to dismiss Isaac Hempstead Wright's work in the last couple seasons. It's that he's not given a lot to work with.
Yeah.
He does an excellent job at doing this, but it's all he gets to do the rest of the show. So that's that's where the gripe comes in. It's not with his performance of it. It's more that is what he's performing, you know? But we're officially there. So I kind of wish I would have treasured Isaac Hempstead Wright's last little glimpses of personality at the end of last season. I wish I would have kind of glommed onto those a little harder
from here on out.
No, yeah, this is it. But we're then heading to King's Landing, where Queen Cersei shows Jaime a giant map of Westeros she is having painted on floor, and Jaime has not spoken since his return due to his anger with Cersei over the death of their youngest son. And Cersei tells Jaime that Tyrion has returned with Queen Daenerys at the head of an armada, you know, the one you love so much. And I'm glad that this scene did acknowledge something we had a little bit of a beef with last episode. I still don't love the rationale.
Yeah. He betrayed us, whatever. He wasn't dead yet, though. You know, she already, said, he was kind of dead to me before he actually killed himself. So it's kind of like a little bit of a fix, you know, a little bit of okay, we know what she was thinking. That banning trial by combat, all that stuff, it really did. But
I still don't love it. I still don't love it from the perspective of writing Cersei that way. That's been the crux of that character, and I guess they're trying to eliminate any redeeming quality. I think that's what they are doing, is they're trying their best to be there is nothing good in her left, and that includes being okay with her son dying. And she's not, you know, she does lash out a little bit and go, of course I loved him, of course I miss him, but that's it, it's over, what can I fucking do, you know?
Obviously it's still affecting her, because right when Jaime brings it up, he's like, we haven't talked about Thomas.
Turns away and
grab some wine. Literally, she goes right to the wine. She's like, I'm already done. I don't even want to really talk about this. It still gets to her, but
it's a really back and forth thing they're doing with it, though. So I guess maybe she's trying to justify her actions to an extent, trying to
blew up the sept. Yeah. You know, that. I mean, she set off the equivalent of a nuke during this time.
Yeah.
So it's she's lost all humanity. I see where they're going, but man, that one scene before, you know, even if Tommen does still jump out of the window, if Cersei just talks to him before, it fixes kind of everything.
Yeah, it does.
So
it's just the complete lack of thought in that direction. And maybe there was thought, but I have trouble gleaming the rationale. But regardless, you know, the brother you love so much, Cersei says of Tyrion, the one who murdered our father and our firstborn son, Jaime thinks that Daenerys will land her forces at the fortress Dragonstone. The Targaryen princess is likely to be drawn back to her birthplace. The castle is unoccupied since Stannis abandoned it, and it has deep water ports for her fleet. And Cersei notes that they have enemies in the south, the west, and the north: the Dorne, the Tyrells, and the Starks, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
And while Cersei has dreams of ushering in a long dynasty, Jaime tells Cersei, like, what fucking dynasty?
Yeah.
We're it.
What are we gonna do? Like, are we having more kids now? Like, what's the plan here?
And she goes, I'm the queen of the seven kingdoms. He has 3 kingdoms at best. Like, nobody is paying attention to who the ruler is right now. Everyone's at war. There's nothing that is standing. And it is really satisfying to hear, like, we're still so separated and so far apart, where, like, Cersei mentions that Ned Stark's bastard has been dubbed King in the North and stuff, and, like, Cersei's, like, never mentioned Jon Snow, so it's like, it's just like,
and now it's a real threat, though. I mean, he is a real threat. He's not just at the wall.
Even funnier is he doesn't even fucking care what's going on south of him. He's like, I don't have time. We've got a bigger thing going on.
Yeah, Sansa's like, you're so focused with the Night King that you forgot about your enemies to the south, and he's like, they're thousands of miles away. Winter is here. They're not going to march all the way up here. And if you saw the Night King, you would think of little else as well. Like that's the real threat. And Sansa she does still have a good point of, like, Cersei will stop at nothing until you are exterminated. So, like, there is a point that she is making there, but I think Jon just knows that it's kind of a null threat compared to...
No, yeah, like, there's nothing they can do until winter is over, and who knows how long that is. But Jaime asks Cersei, about Tommen, and she responds angrily that he betrayed them, but Cersei adds that they are the only living Lannisters left, the only ones who count, anyway. And Jaime tells her that they need allies and reports that House Frey has been exterminated. Whoever killed them is no friend of us.
That's kind of sick. That it's just no one fucking knows. House Frey was just gone. And, like, whoever fucking did that, like, holy shit, they better be on our, they're not on our side.
Well, that's what, I wish we would have gotten a little callback to what Arya said. Like, what do you mean no one knows? She told them to tell them. The North remembers,
Yeah, I guess, I mean, that's a very vague, the North.
But
like, I guess, like,
it's the North. It was the Starks. Or somebody with the Starks.
That's true. Fair enough.
Winter came for House Frey.
But they were like, well, Jon just got back to Winterfell. They just had that battle. They're kind of like, what
logically, they think nobody's thinking of, like, Arya Stark. She's been dead in the public eye for, like, 5 fucking years at this point.
Since season 1. Literally after
when she disappeared after Ned's death.
They're like, well, she's probably dead. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I guess she did say to tell him, the North remembers and winter has come for House Frey. Yeah, that's true. I guess that maybe that girl was just maybe she just didn't tell anybody, She was just like, well, fuck do I do now? She has that whole castle to herself, I guess.
Yeah, no, like, that was my other thing, is that, like, I don't know, that chick did just watch, I don't know, tens of people die, so maybe she was a little shell-shocked. But regardless, as Jaime points to, they'd killed Lancel Lannister, they killed Kevin Lannister because of the Great Septic explosion and everything. Like, there are no Lannisters left. We don't have any allies. We don't have any friends. And Cersei angrily reminds him that she has been listening to their father's counsel for the last 40 years. Do you think she has learned nothing?
Enter the fleet. The Iron Fleet.
Yes. House Greyjoy sailing into King's Landing, and Cersei tells Jaime that she is planning to forge an alliance with the goth pirate Euron Greyjoy.
What is this costume change, man?
Costume, like, I remember saying a couple episodes back that it was. I remember saying, like, the change is egregious, but the costume itself isn't bad. I want to take that back. The costume is also not very good.
Yeah, I
In a,
guess just
in a
for the
show where they knock every fucking costume out of the goddamn park, this was astonishingly bad.
Yeah, look at Cersei. Look at
Look at
Jaime.
Daenerys. Look
Yeah,
at
her
Daenerys
fucking
later in this.
fire
Dude.
dragon scale. Holy shit!
Oh.
One of my favorite costumes in the entire
Yes.
show. Like
Yes.
it was badass. But yeah,
in an episode, like specifically we get introduced to the new armor for the Kingsguard with the black and the all that in a specific episode with so much cool shit going on costume wise. This is what Euron's rocking. I don't know.
This is a pirate. Supposed to be what a pirate is supposed to look. Like the king. Or this is the king of the Iron Islands,
I don't know, bro. Like it's just it's really pathetic. But Jaime criticizes her decision here and points out that the Greyjoys are oath breakers and bitter killers. And in the throne room, Queen Cersei and Jaime host Euron, and seeking revenge against Yara and Theon for running away with part of the fleet. Euron proposes that they join forces to murder their enemies, including Tyrion. And when Jaime questions Euron's legitimacy and trustworthiness, Euron talks about the Greyjoy Rebellion. Praises Jaime, what you did out there, it was beautiful, like a dance. And Jaime's like, I was cutting down your family. And he was like, and it was beautiful. I would have done more.
Let's ally with this guy.
Yeah.
This guy sounds very level-headed, very great ally to have in the back book, or back pocket. Yeah, just an absolute... he's lost it. I mean, Cersei's kind of lost it, but this is kind of a different
Euron's
level.
been off the deep end forever.
Yeah.
At least with Cersei, it's like a fresh lost it. She's recently lost it. Euron's not. He's hardly human anymore. I love that. He says he went into exile because the Greyjoy Rebellion and has returned. A feared and experienced pirate captain and boasts that the Iron Fleet is the greatest fleet that Westeros has ever seen, and the Lannisters desperately need a fleet due to the fact that he burned theirs. And he's like, so here's the deal. Marry me and we'll be all good. And Cersei declines due to Euron's history of oath breaking and his role in murdering his brother Balon Greyjoy. And he goes, you should try that. You should try murdering your brother. It's fun. Yeah. It's good stuff.
And Jaime's kind of like, you're talking about Tyrion, right? Like,
neither phased nor disappointed, Euron promises that when he returns to King's Landing, he will deliver his finest gift with two hands. And Cersei, Jaime has no questions who he's been talking shit about after that.
He says, in order to impress a woman, you need to give her a priceless gift. I will not return to King's Landing until I have it. So there was the, I can fuck, whatever. But then there was also the what is he going for? What is the priceless gift? Is it just him? Is
the two good hands thing is a knock at Jaime?
Oh, okay. That's fair. Yeah. Okay. I was okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you recall.
I was trying to think of what, it's
the Sand Snakes, the women who killed her daughter.
Oh, okay. Wow. Because I know the only thing I remember about Euron is like this confrontation he has with Yara and Theon on like a ship. And I'm pretty sure Theon just like jumps overboard, right?
Yes, that's the same. That's the same interaction. Actually, I'm pretty sure he might bring Yara with the Sand Snakes to King's Landing. I can't remember.
Oh wow, because they're with Daenerys right now, on the way over to Dragonstone. I guess Dragonstone is on the way to Dorne, right? Guess that makes sense.
Yeah, they could be going to pull. They could be going to pick them up, or on their way back from having picked them up, and that's when that happens. But
do they encounter Daenerys' fleet? Like they're like, do they fight? Like, do they have a massive?
It is a battle at sea. Okay. That is what. Okay. That is where that happens.
Because Dragonstone. Where's Dragonstone?
Isn't it on west, like the south? Or southeast?
What the heck is it? Search towns. Dragonstone.
Like the southeast of Westeros, kind of, or like middle?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know. I see Dorne very clearly, but I thought it's like, yeah,
I feel like it's not far from King's Landing, which is one of the things that's kind of interesting. Like it's just south and east of King's Landing, if I recall correctly.
There's Highgarden. There's King's Landing. Maybe I'm just very blind right now, but I was just trying to see if I was right about like it being on the way to Dorne. Oh, okay. You have to exit Blackwater Bay. You have to go north a little bit and east, and then you hit Dragonstone. It's like on the way when you start to go south towards Dorne. You pass Dragonstone. It's kind of like a on the way out of Blackwater Bay. I mean, that's a tongue twister for me for some reason, but yeah, I guess it does make sense. Yeah, he would encounter them for sure. So.
But yeah, that concludes the story in King's Landing, and then we head to Old Town, where at the Citadel, Samuel Tarly is assigned menial work, and we encounter the Poop Loop.
Let me take a sip of my coffee real quick while I think about this. Yeah, wow, what a scene.
Loop. No, I hadn't forgotten this scene. It's one that will stick with me until my dying day.
Oh man!
But I forgot it was how we like kicked off season 7.
Yep. I mean, you get the Walter Frey, opening, and then it's like, bam, we're in Old Town, cleaning shit. Yeah.
Oh no, it's horrendous. Yeah, he's serving Maester's meals, emptying the chamber pots, shelving books, and while browsing through the library one day, he stares at a book behind a locked gate and in the restricted section. And later on, Samuel helps Archmaester Ebros to dissect a corpse. Another wonderfully subtle scene.
Just all out.
Just getting handed organs and setting them on scales. And
weigh that for me, please. Thank you. Be a doll. Be a doll and weigh this liver. I love how it's like the liver's fucked too. Yeah. Like it's like people at this time, that's all they do is drink. So it's like he's like this. I don't know. He says something about their livers or like something about how it's like disease. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, it's pretty gruesome. But this conversation they had though was actually like this conversation was pretty cool. Just Sam being like I've tried to talk to everybody, like no one believes me at all of this threat. I've seen them, dude. He's like I've seen them. It's all I can think about, and I love the like kind of back and forth this Archmaester kind of has with him in saying like, well, it's our job to doubt everything, sort of thing. And but seeing how passionate you are, I kind of believe you. And it seems that he's kind of on his side. He's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll let you in the restricted section. But he's like, all right, now that we're done with that, we're safe. The wall, it's been there forever. It's never gone down. Every winter has ended. Clean this up for me, boy. It's like I was really expecting him to kind of like give Sam some leeway, but yeah, gave him I guess somewhat of a better answer than everyone else has been giving him.
No, that's something we come to find with the Citadel is that they're extremely dogmatic and
their only focus is on the books, and in the Citadel. They don't experience anything.
He says it, like they're the living history, so that's what they focus on is history. Mm-hmm. They don't focus on what could come as a result of the things happening now. They care about chronicling the things that are happening now so that people in the future will know what happened then,
It was, I don't know, kind of a cool line of being like, without us, everyone else would basically be dogs, remembering the last meal they ate and just going on to the next one, or I forgot the exact verbiage, but like only remembering the last meal they ate, and only wanting to get to the next, or something along those lines. But I don't know. I always kind of love the like Maester, the Citadel kind of storyline. I always think it is kind of cool. Like just like this is the closest thing to college that they have. Like if there is like a university or something.
Yeah, it's like a mix of like a priesthood and college and just medical school, law school, every type of school rolled into one.
Yeah, it's like recorded history. Like when we started to write stuff down, is kind of like a really big turning point in history. And like
Mm.
I always think of like I don't know, ancient, like the Library of Alexandria that burnt, of like just gone, all of that knowledge gone. And I imagine like the Citadel going up in flames and how like detrimental that would like kind of, I guess it wouldn't like cause the world to go into chaos, but like, I don't know, it would be a sad sight, I guess, it'd be like, damn.
Oh, I mean,
that's,
you'd
like,
lose
a lot of time,
untold amounts of
so
history.
much.
You know?
Yeah, and like very useful information. Like Sam, he does like learn of the Dragonstone, Dragon Glass Mount. It's built.
I'm glad this was a much quicker turnaround than I remembered. I don't know if you'll remember whenever Stannis did say this earlier on in the show, and I was like, I talk shit. I was like, did they just forget? Like, no, Sam actually quite literally acknowledges it in the exact same episode in which Jon calls for Dragonglass. Like it's
very, very quick. And like now that he sees it, he's like, oh, this is like the most important bit of information that we could possibly have right now. Jon needs to know this, and it was nice to see it very, very quick. But yeah, I don't know. It would seem that if you heard that before, you'd probably, I don't know.
Like even so, yes, you're only thinking to tell Jon now. That's probably something you communicate pretty quickly. If we ever need Dragonglass, Dragonstone's built on a mountain of the stuff,
Yeah, maybe he didn't believe Stan. I don't know. Like, maybe it's just like, this is like.
Because the way he says it, he's like, Stannis told me, but I never thought.
Yeah.
What do you mean you never thought? What are you talking about, Sam? But regardless, the book reveals that Stannis was understating the situation, actually. There is a veritable mountain of obsidian just outside the castle, and Sam excitedly prepares a letter to Jon Snow relating the discovery. And I also love that they don't spend any time acknowledging how Gilly is just there.
Yeah, just, it's kind of sad, honestly. Like, I don't know. I mean, she seems that she's okay, and like,
well, she's doing about all she can, but that's what I mean. Like, how's she even here at all? Like, that's not something that the Citadel allows.
Where are they?
They're in the Citadel. He stays at the Citadel.
So maybe just in the library they're not allowed, but maybe there's living quarters. Because wait, they're not supposed to have wives.
No.
Yeah, they're not supposed to have kids.
That's why I think it's hilarious that they were like, well, like he says something earlier in the show about how like, I don't have an Aemon and I don't have a Jon and all this, and it actually doesn't fucking matter because the writers get to do what they want. They get to be like, well, actually, she's just there.
Yeah, that is. I didn't think about that. Wow, I just kind of thought that this was outside of the Citadel. I guess I don't know.
Nope, this is the Citadel. So like, because I don't think. I mean, I assume he's allowed to leave, but I don't think it's like he commutes every day. I feel like he wakes up, does his job, goes to bed. But regardless, and that's not a real critique of this by any means. I don't mind that that's just kind of fallen by the wayside. I do think it is, again, indicative of something the show is a little bit more guilty of in these last two seasons, which is things just kind of happening. They're just they just are, instead of where we've had 6 seasons of here's how we got here, and this is a struggle we'll have to face. And this is also one of those examples where Sam was aware that this was a struggle he was going to have to face. And it's actually not a struggle at all. So it's an interesting little,
where those extra couple episodes in the season would have really helped.
Exactly. But
they needed to hit the big points, and they were hoping you were distracted by everything else going on.
And frankly, this is the first time I've ever thought of that.
Yeah,
and it's because we're taking the time to talk about it week by week, one at a time, that I'm even capable of clocking that, really. But the next day, while gathering empty bowls from the cells of the Citadel Sanitarium, Samwell is confronted by a shadowy figure whose arm is almost completely covered in grayscale. And he asks if the Dragon Queen has arrived yet. And Samwell sputters that he does not know, and the figure withdraws his arm.
Like, I don't know, man. I'm just really scared. I don't know what the fuck's going on with you. Like, I mean, that was
big swing by Jorah here, also.
Yeah, could have just, I don't know, been like, hey, You know, like he didn't have to grab the bull so fucking hard. You know, maybe the gray sail's getting to him a little bit. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
He's turning a little bit already, but very passionate.
I just thought that was. It's to let you know this is Jorah. You know, like he's got an entire.
Lucky that Sam
armor.
had some gloves on, though.
Yeah, no shit.
If not, yeah, I don't know how fast it transfers over, but it seems that one touch, that's it, sort of thing.
Oh
so,
yeah, no, that's it. That is all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then we're in Dragonstone to top off the episode, where Daenerys, along with her closest advisors Tyrion, Varys, Missandei, and Grey Worm, land at Dragonstone, and as all three of her dragons circle overhead, there was something that this episode really got about the dragons that I don't feel like we've gotten a lot of. These things are fucking fast. I loved the shot of them zooming the fuck in. That like I was like, I don't think we've really acknowledged how fucking fast these guys are. And it's something that House of the Dragon does really effectively, but I just don't think they've been in a setting where they've been able to do that yet. And but after landing, Daenerys kneels on the ground and touches the Westerosi land for the first time since birth. And she and her entourage then climb the steps to Dragonstone Castle. And accompanied by Grey Worm and the other Unsullied, they silently enter the unguarded main gates and deserted courtyard. When they enter the castle itself, Daenerys briefly studies the fiery stag on one of Stannis' banners and after a moment rips it down with a firm tug. And I liked the nonchalance of that moment, but after like 2 episodes ago when we got like a really, really triumphant banner tearing down, I was a little underwhelmed by this. I was like, and literally the camera and editing during it was underwhelming. Like she just tugs it and then they like don't show it falling. They just cut to it landing on the ground. And I'm like,
yeah. And no words spoken at all until she says, shall it begin? Like literally. And it's okay.
I actually don't mind that part. I don't mind that part.
I don't know. I felt like I like the idea that they're like, all right, let her go. You know, they're not with her. They're kind of letting her go at her own pace. I like it. Felt like there would be more emotion a little bit. And I guess she did say that like letting Dario go, she felt nothing at all, you know, so maybe that's a little bit, but like, it felt like it was just kind of like, I don't know.
There's actually something here that I can't recall if she actually says this, but there's an element to this where I think it's impossible for this place to live up to what she thought in her head.
Oh, she has no actual memory of it.
She has no actual connection to Dragonstone. She was born here.
She just knows that
she expected. I think she expected to feel home, and she doesn't. I think it's just like
it's completely empty, barren. The you know, candle little things are knocked over. It's like
I think she thinks it's
everywhere.
like. I'm assuming she thinks it's like, I'm finally here, but like, I think the reason there isn't much emotion is because she doesn't feel much of anything in this moment. It is kind of like, oh, I actually don't have a tie to this place in the way that I thought I would. Daenerys enters the empty throne room and gazes upon the throne of the Targaryens hewn from volcanic rock. And when Grey Worm moves to stand beside her, Missandei holds him back, waiting for the queen. And after a moment, Daenerys strides right past the throne and enters the chamber of the painted table, a room we have come quite familiar with due to, you know, Stannis earlier, but then specifically House of the Dragon. I feel like seeing a Targaryen in this place really emphasized just how much this is. I'm like, Rhaenyra gave birth in this room, and this place is where like there's just all sorts of interesting connections there. But
we got one Targaryen for sure, maybe a second one in that room as well. I don't know. The imagery was very like him looking at the dragon. You know, he's obviously interested in it, but like he's facing the same way as the dragon and everything. I don't know. Like I love thinking that Tyrion is somehow a secret Targaryen in there. Somehow Rhaegar just, you know, he got around. Lyanna and whoever, I don't know their mother's name, sadly, the Lannister mother. But
I don't recall either.
But yeah, I don't know. He just had to spread his babies out. And he didn't have much time to do it. but that was his. He knew his dream, or I don't know.
He was like every major stronghold: Casterly Rock, Winterfell, Dorne.
I mean, he did go around conquering all of this shit, and he's a romantic man.
He didn't conquer anything.
Oh, wait a minute. Rhaegar is just. Oh yeah, that's Aegon that conquered everything. Rhaegar was. Oh, that's right. Okay, fair enough. He did.
Still,
did
though,
he have
I'm
his own
assuming
dragon?
he was well traveled.
No, he did not have his own dragon. Because
Aegon
came
dragon.
over. Yeah, that at this point there are none. Okay, wow. Yeah, for some reason I'm thinking this is Aegon, but then that timeline does not work at all. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it is funny that Rhaegar has such a massive impact on this story when he was just kind of a guy, like he was just he was heir to the Iron Throne, and
because he chose Lyanna, and like that's it. Just
that
a
was
prince
the big deal. That was the
that
big thing.
loved, I guess, the wrong person.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But surveying the discarded markers from Stannis' last use of the table, Daenerys turns to Tyrion and remarks, "Shall we begin?"
Yeah,
pretty hard. I did.
It made the line hit harder that they didn't speak at all. And the cut right there, the music kind of playing it.
Yeah,
it worked.
They knew what they were cooking. They knew what they were doing there. But I can't. In an overall underwhelming episode, getting to the moment of the episode that you feel is going to be the most triumphant, and it also falling a little flat, is not the most satisfying.
Which Daenerys put her as the cold opening. Shall we begin? Let's get into season 7. Have Arya killing Walder Frey and the rest of the house. Well, I guess Jaime and Cersei mention it, so it wouldn't really work there. But I don't know, something else at the end. I feel like this could have been the cold opening.
Yeah, I mean, shit. This is the cold opening, and the first scene after the theme song is fucking Arya slaughtering I don't know.
Yeah. I guess I don't know what they would have ended it with. What would be the cliffhanger? Nothing else really works, I guess, that happens in this episode. I guess they would have had to pull maybe something else, but not much.
I guess it is a premiere, so it does kind of have to end with an oomph. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, not every episode has to end with a cliffhanger, but the first episode kind of does have to give you a last little moment that's like, okay, yeah, let's fucking get it then. To be sure, but regardless. I still enjoyed the episode a great deal. I did have a good time watching it. I just think that it wasn't of the utmost quality in comparison to some of our most last several weeks. I think this is worse than any episode in season 6, and I think that I don't think that's even a difficult proclamation to make.
Yeah, you're right about the only really good scene to come out of this is with the Hound.
And it feels like there was a time, as recently as last season, where every part of the episode was to the degree that the Hound was at. So it's funny because that scene was so good, it emphasizes how underwhelming the rest of the episode is. If that scene hadn't been quite as good, maybe I'd have been like, yeah, it was fine, it was solid.
Consistent all through. It's not anything great, but at least it's kind of
but
the same
feeling. But there's one part that is specifically great, and it really emphasizes how not great the rest of it is.
He I don't know D&D. I don't want to go into the season thinking it's already going to be,
there are some highlights. There's some high highs, man.
There are.
I think that this episode might be a good microcosm of what the rest of the show is going to be. There's some really, really glaringly wonderful moments. There's some great parts that are done extremely well. But on the whole, it's underwhelming. And I don't think that's the worst thing a show can be. I think that's okay. It's still like I said, still enjoyed the shit out of this episode. I say I enjoyed the shit out of this episode, but again, probably less than most of last season. Probably around an 8.
It is just kind of there. No, like as far as premieres go, last season we gave an 8.75. We're not there.
No.
The season 5 premiere an 8.5. That was The Wars to Come. Let's see. Does Mace? Is that when Mance Raider?
Yeah, he gets an arrow through the heart there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the freedom to make my own mistakes is all I've ever wanted. So, I mean, that was not even that bad of a premiere. We gave that one an 8.5. And when you go back, they get a little bit better. But yeah, I was around an 8. Yeah. I think that is where we are. I think 7 something seemed a little too low. I was still having a good time.
I still enjoy the episode a great deal. I like it even. It's just
and even the Ed Sheeran thing, it's like it's whatever that they made him act, but like seeing him was kind of cool. Just seeing someone else just kind of come in for this little itty bitty role that you just can tell that they really loved the show. They wanted to be in it, and they got their way. And the scenes in the north, I think, were actually okay. They were done pretty well. It's just it felt very, very nothing.
Damn.
Nothing happened. I don't know. Like there's Arya killing the Frey house is honestly the biggest thing that happened. Everything else is just
cool. Like it's super cool and it's super exciting and that's fun stuff.
Every other location is just, what are we going to do now? It's like we're telling you what we're going to do for the rest of the season instead of just kind of getting on with some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Jon at the North, it is a lot of planning that needs to take place. It makes sense there. It makes sense on the All. They need to, these are very big things. They need to plan. But I don't know. I don't know. Writing,
I mean, if we give it an 8, and I'm comfortable there. I don't think it should go any higher. Makes it bottom 3 ever.
And honestly, yeah.
We've never given anything an 8.
Wow. Yeah. The only other one, I'm pretty sure that when Jaime and has that moment in the Sept with their dead daughter right there. I think that episode we dinged that one down a little bit, I believe. But
we dinged that down critically, but it actually didn't do too terribly.
Okay.
Yeah, that got an 8.25 even.
Wow. Yeah, we gave Lord Snow episode 3, season 1, episode 3, a 7.
And frankly, that's probably just because we were coming into it and trying to be critical.
Episode 4, Garden of Bones, we gave an 8.
Okay, yeah, First of His Name, we gave an 8. Season 4, episode 5.
Wow. Yeah, I mean it felt like a bottom of the barrel episode for this show. And I hope this is the lowest that we go this season. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that ties it for bottom 3 there.
Do you think it does? Is it lower than an 8?
I'm like, no. Where my gut took me for enjoyment and critical is the same thing we gave season 4, episode 5.
Yeah, I mean, critically, it's not. It's worse than I'm enjoying it.
This is below an 8.
There's one strong scene.
I would go max 7 actually in terms of critical appeal here, and I think that would be friendly. I think we're looking at a 6.75.
Wow,
this is the first episode of the show where I would hesitate to call it good.
Yeah, and
I think 7 is the threshold there.
Good begins at 7. You know, that's kind of where it begins. IMDb, I guess people love it. 8.5. I guess for Thrones, that's kind of low. I guess for Thrones.
Yeah. And it's also, you got to keep in mind that a lot of IMDb ratings are given as soon as the episode comes out.
And people very much more enjoyable right off the watch and then they sit down and think about it for a while, and then it's like, well, maybe actually not quite.
Well, and
yeah,
enjoyment wise, I mean, like it's not too far off from there. Like it's a good episode. I have a good time, or an enjoyable episode, I should say, for the most part. I do think that critically, it shows glimpses of negative trends.
If we do go 6.75, it is a 7.17. It's like a 72%, which is that the lowest? 73, 74. 73,
yeah, no, that would make it
that is the lowest. 76, even with Lord Snow. Yeah, and I think I kind of do stand by that. Even at the beginning of the show, when they were figuring out what they were doing, they were still doing a better job. They had source material to go off of as well. Here they do not. They're a whole season off of fresh or source material, and I don't know. I guess how closely was George still working with them at this point?
Not
at all. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Because like in season 6, I remember reading some stuff as like they were trying to pry out as much information as they possibly can out of this man. But
I'm pretty sure he gives them, at this point, he gives them major beats, the biggest fucking shit that happens, and beyond that, good luck.
And that's why there's 7 episodes in this season and 6 in the other. They couldn't come up with the rest of the shit. Oh, it's like they're good at adapting.
They couldn't, and they also didn't fucking want to. That was like a big part of the last season being 6 episodes specifically, is that every shoot for Game of Thrones is incredibly demanding. It's so much work, it's so much travel, it's so much stuff, and doing this for 10 fucking years, like,
that's true.
It's a lot,
I bet even some of the actors were a little.
Yeah, a lot of the actors were getting weary of it, man, and maybe it's a lot easier to get weary of something that is clearly losing quality, though.
Yeah, I mean, if they had a script where everyone was like, "Holy shit," like you see the script readings and the actors are like, "What the fuck?" They're like, especially like the finale. Whenever they're like reading that, they're like, "What the?" They're like, "What?" They're like, "What is?" They're like, "This." They're immediately like, "This sucks." Like they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And yeah, I bet if they were handed a script where they were like, "Oh my god, this is gonna blow people's fucking minds," that they would be like, "Yeah, we're in. We're gonna end the show with a fucking bang." Yeah, not quite what we got, but no, not the worst. I honestly expected a worse start. Not gonna lie. But and it's critically not there. I guess
funny
enjoyment,
enough,
I expected it to be worse.
Funny enough, I actually don't think, to my recollection, I think season 8's premiere is better than this. As far as I remember, it's Dany and Jon arriving in Winterfell.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. What is there?
And that's just what I remember. I would have told you I remembered this one pretty well as well, though. Given Arya slaughtering House Frey and Daenerys arriving back home, and and that stuff, I would have been like, oh yeah, that's a great episode, and I'm left a little underwhelmed.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, Jon rides Rhaegal in the premiere of season 8. Jaime arrives at Winterfell as well, and they have that awkward ass stare with Bran. Oh god! Wow. Euron urges the queen to bed with him. Bronn is
that's why I'm like, it's.
Oh,
we'll see.
I don't remember that. Bronn is given the task of assassinating Jaime and Tyrion on the queen's behalf. I did not remember that.
He doesn't do it.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I mean, obviously, Jaime does die.
Obviously, he doesn't do it, but like,
but I'm like, wow, what? Like, I'm like, does he get close? Does he like think about it? And
he sits down and talks with them, and then doesn't do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that. A lot cooler shit happens in that premiere.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I won't be surprised if I enjoy that one more. I will not be surprised if it's actually not that good.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think that on the whole, I expect this will be the weakest episode of the season, and I will be surprised if that's not the case.
Okay. Hopefully. I am hoping so. I'm going in with just kind of neutral expectations. Nothing good, nothing bad. Just I'm gonna see how I think at the end of this. And is this? Yeah, this is Dragonstone. Yeah, 8.5 for this one, 8.8 for the next, 9.1, 9.7, 8.7, 9, and a 9.4 for the end. So I mean, like, yeah, I mean the people are loving them right off the episode for sure. So it looks like the season does seem to go up in critical value if IMDb is to be trusted. Which not always, but yeah, not the start I was hoping for, but not the worst one either. Definitely the worst of the show so far. But as far as other television goes, it's still not that bad. Like, you compare this to, I don't know, a Stranger Things. Like, this is still a pretty strong episode, I'd say.
It's
compared
pretty
to one
fine.
episode of a show like that, which is Stranger Things. Is amazing. I love Stranger Things. But yeah, 72. That's we did hit the new low, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean it's whatever, I do think the rest of the season will go a lot better. I remember a lot of stuff from season 7 extremely fondly. And I think that this was just it's just exceptionally weak. I think that's just the case. In fact, off the top of my head, I think we will only have one episode of this show left that I will actually think is worse. And that's season 8, episode 4. That episode's just not very good. That's the episode that accelerates everything in the final season and changes our entire perception of what the show is going to end like.
Man, that stinks. Yeah, I don't remember what happens there, but I'm terrible at that. But it's after the long night.
I'm confident. I truly don't think. I think we will have one more episode that gets close to this, which is a good sign overall. Because at the very least, I know we have so many extremely enjoyable episodes to come. Like, this one was just kind of, it was a premiere. We're easing back in. We've, like you said, we've rarely given premieres higher than a 9. Like half the premieres have been 8 something.
Oh yeah, 8.75, 8.5, 9.25 for season 4, but season 4 was kind of peak.
Season 4 is different.
Yeah, 8.75, a 9 for season 2. But an 8.5 for the first, only 2 have gotten a 9 or above.
That's why I'm like, I think that it is a premiere, so I do have hopes, and I think that most people will find, like, everyone always expects premieres to be the best, and everyone is always astonished whenever it's not great, but like that's because it's a fucking premiere. It can make an impact, but it has a lot to set up, and I'm holding out hope. You said you're going with neutral. I'm going with high hopes. I'm going positive. Let's do this thing. I'm ready for the last couple seasons of Thrones here. And we'll see how that goes for me. But, yeah, with that, I think we will conclude this episode of Winter is Blooming. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. For $3 a month, you can support this podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever it is you might be listening, and to continue downloading. We will be continuing our comic book movie journey through film this week. And last week brought us the likes of The Avengers and The Amazing Spider-Man, if I recall correctly. And this week will bring us a couple more. And I'm excited about that.
Iron Man 3 and The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay. A couple of thirds. A couple of thirds in trilogies.
We're completing 2 trilogies here.
There we go.
So that's cool.
And overall, a pretty good week. I might have a piping hot take about which movie I prefer there.
I think it's actually pretty clear. I don't really like The Dark Knight Rises all that much.
Okay, cool.
If that's
Cool.
where you're going. If you're saying
Yes.
Iron Man 3 is better.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 is a lot better than The Dark Knight
I
Rises.
love all the
Or
suits
I
blowing
like
up
it
at the
a
end.
lot more.
Yeah.
Revisiting it, maybe I don't feel like it's a lot better, but I do know for a fact that I like Iron Man 3 more than The Dark Knight Rises. So I'll spoil that for everybody. But I have not revisited the films yet. We're about to this week. So go
The
ahead.
darkness. Bane is pretty cool. Hey, we do get Littlefinger. Littlefinger is in there in that plane. He's the one who
Yes, he
interrogates
is.
Bane
Aiden
after they
Gillen
get-
is in there.
There we go.
There you go. We got a little connection there.
Any in Game of
But yeah.
Thrones or any in Iron Man 3? I don't
believe so. Not off the
Probably not.
top of my head.
Mm-mm.
Not that I can remember. Nah, don't believe so. I
It's not
wish
looking
Ben
like it.
Kingsley had been in Game of Thrones at some point. I feel like he would have fit this show like a glove, but
True. Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we got. That's what we got cooking this week, and I'm very excited about that. But yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom, and leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe.